Future Warrior, Earth's Children. Chapter 10. The honor guard of Marines and naval ratings brought their rifles up and snapped to attention with perfect precision, the crash of their highly polished dress uniform boots echoing across the hangar. The hangar was filled with assembled ranks of Marines, UEF officers and ratings, and a large contingent from the Viking Assault Division. There was near total silence as High Admiral Louis Francois Tourville strode to the podium, only the sound of his footsteps breaking the quiet. He took the podium and looked out over the sea of faces. The expansive hangar filled near to capacity. At ease, there was a slight shuffle as the ranks assumed the less formal at ease stance. Satisfied, Tourville continued. We are here today to honor valor. Honor is the code by which we live, and acts of valor the physical expression of that code. Valor is honor made manifest. This war has seen many deeds done that are worthy of remembrance, and it is thoroughly right that we so gathered do so. Those so named step forward: Assault Trooper Lidjuan, Assault Trooper Uhtred, Assault Trooper Adane, and Unit Commander Selwyn. For Vikings stepped from their assembled ranks and made their way to where the High Admiral stood, their faces showing some confusion. As they approached, Tourville could see that despite their efforts, the approaching Vikings still bore the signs of recent action. Some of them limped, while their EEA was marked with scuffs and unrepaired damage. An aide guided the Vikings and formed them in a line alongside the podium, facing the crowd. Could Assault General Vidar please also join me? As the commanding general of the Vikings Assault Division moved to join Tourville on the podium, the faces of the four assembled Vikings moved from confusion to bewilderment. Tourville shook General Vidar's hand warmly, the rapport the two men had built up during the previous week's discussions still strong. The age of Vidar was hard to tell. His hair was turning to gray, but he had the physique of a warrior and the mind of a scholar. Tourville estimated him to be in his late 40s. He had been pleasantly surprised when he had first met with the general that he was as cultured and erudite and soldier as he had ever encountered. Their discussions had been fruitful, and he had been receptive to the High Admiral's proposal. With General Vidar alongside him, Tourville continued. Look upon the four men before you. Mark them well, for they are figures to emulate. All of them have committed deeds of the highest bravery and self-sacrifice, witnessed and judged by their peers and equals. The actions of Assault Troopers Lidjuan and Uhtred are vouched for by numerous witnesses, those whose lives their courage saved, including myself and my staff officers, and are beyond reproach. Assault Trooper Adane, following the death of the rest of his unit, single-handedly held the bridge of Battleship Venus against repeated enemy assaults. Despite being injured several times, he fought on, and in doing so saved the ship and saved the lives of the bridge crew. Unit Commander Selwyn led his unit in the action to retake the Genesis from the enemy. His tactical skill, stamina, and bravery almost single-handedly broke the enemy's resistance, saved countless UEDF lives, and prevented damage to crucial ship systems, allowing the Genesis to be salvaged to fight another day. Tourville motioned to a nearby aide, and he approached with a wooden case. We are also here to initiate a new order of valor. As High Admiral of the fleet, I have issued the following directive to take effect immediately. The United Earth Fleet Awards and Honors list is to be amended to include a new order of valor, is to be a standing and permanent addition to the list, and shall be described as follows. The Sven Christensen Award for Valor, to be issued to non-United Earth Fleet military personnel who by universally recognized action or deed of the highest and uncontested valor do so render said valorous service to the United Earth Fleet, shall be so awarded. Assault Troopers Lidjuan and Uhtred, stand and be so awarded. The two Vikings who survived the hellish escape from the UES Destiny presented themselves to Tourville, snapping to attention. Tourville retrieved the first award. Held by a lanyard of blood-red silk, the round medallion was embossed with two crossed hammers, one of gold and one of silver. Beneath them was a stylized wreath with the words, "Echoes of thunder never fade." Placing one medallion around the neck of each, Tourville shook each of their hands and then stepped back. General Vidar stepped forward. Assault Trooper Adane and Unit Commander Selwyn, stand and be so awarded. General Vidar placed a medallion around the neck of both and then spoke to the 4 assembled Vikings in front of him. Your actions are in the finest traditions of the Viking Assault Division. We honor you, and in so doing you honor us. Unit Commander Selwyn, it is by universal acclaim that I now promote you to the rank of Battle Commander. Congratulations, and lead well. Assault Troopers Leguin, Uhtred, and Adane, it is also by universal acclaim that I promote the 3 of you to the rank of Unit Commander. Congratulations, and lead well. Torville stepped forward and turned to General Vidar. There is one more recipient to be recognized. Unit Commander Sven Christensen gave his life so that others may live my life amongst them. His deeds were witnessed and have been attested to, and are beyond reproach. On his behalf, I present this medallion, named in his honor, to Assault General Vidar, Sven Christensen, be so awarded. Torville passed the case medallion to General Vidar, who took it reverently. Torville, together with Vidar, turned and saluted the 4 Vikings. You have been so honored. Turn and be recognized. The 4 Vikings turned, and as one the assembled soldiers and sailors snapped to attention and saluted with a loud crash. As the ceremony broke up, Torville was joined by Vice Admiral Matsuda, and the 2 officers walked quietly back to the High Admiral's quarters. As they sat, an aide poured some cognac and then excused himself. That was well done, sir. Torville smiled. It was the least I could do, Yoshiro. In truth, a piece of metal will not bring the dead back to life. Even a High Admiral does not have that power. I must confess I have never owed someone my life, you know. It is a strange feeling. Matsuda nodded. I owed Admiral Lev my life. His actions and orders are the only reason I am here today. Since that day, I've tried to live up to the sacrifice he made, to make it worthwhile, to make it mean something. You speak wisely and freely, Yoshiro. It is one of the qualities that always liked about you. You will see yourself on my chair one day. Of that I have no doubt. Thank you, sir. Oh, please. Enough of the sir. Just Lewis will do. There are no junior officers here to be shocked by a lack of due decorum. Trust me, Yoshiro. When you become High Admiral, you too will grow tired of everyone calling you sir at every opportunity. I'm sure you are right. You wish to discuss something with me? Torville leaned back in his chair and took a sip of cognac, composing his thoughts. Stratcom want a deep reconnaissance of the Wolf 424 systems. I'm sending you. We are not yet in a position to take the offensive. Our logistics, as you know, are a bit stretched. So Stratcom want to know where to strike next. Opinion in the High Command is divided. It's either somewhere in the Wolf 424 systems or in AD Leonis. To resolve it, we're going to undertake some aggressive reconnaissance, shall we say. Wolf 424 is for you. I'm giving you the 2nd Battlecruiser Division, reinforced by some additional cruisers and destroyers. After Maiden, Port the Deimos can only have handful of capital ships left. If you encounter enemy ships in the system, use your judgment and destroy in targets of opportunity, but do not pursue. You will be conducting landing operations to test the enemy's strength and dispositions. Remain in place and cover these operations as you deem appropriate. Then once they have gathered the necessary data, withdraw. Vice Admiral Matsuda sat back and considered the plan. It was essentially a reconnaissance in force combined with a raid. Such operations carried out across several different systems would not reveal where the hammer blow would fall, but would yield good intelligence and serve to further confuse the enemy. It was a costly tactic, but wars were by their very nature costly, and a little bit of blood spilt now might save a torrent of blood later. What forces will I be taking? The sad fact is our Marine units don't have the strength for this, not after Maidenport. Torville considered the options for a moment, swirling his drink. You are right, of course, Yoshiro. It will take some time for our Marine units to be rebuilt. The Vikings did excellent work at Maidenport. They deserve a break, I think. I believe units of the Terra Nova and some UA formations have recently joined the fleet. They will serve the purpose. Stalker walked into the small private quarters that was serving as the second Terra Nova's command post. Stalker took in the room. The already small space had been made significantly smaller by the addition of a portable secure link terminal and a desk. Behind it, crammed into a corner, was the room's bunk. An ASBR, loaded, Stalker noted, a set of EEA, and various other assorted pieces of equipment were piled up. From behind the desk, the commanding officer of the 2nd Regiment of the Terra Nova looked up. "Desk suits you nice, D. You dragged that thing all the way from Arica?" Assault Commander Richard Donaldson smiled. "Yes, as a matter of fact, privileges of rank apparently. If I had my way, they could flush the damn thing out the nearest airlock." There was fire in Big DS' voice, but Stalker had known his friend a lot of years, and his eyes revealed his weariness. "Want to lift with it? We could do it together." D laughed. "I would offer you a seat, but I don't have one." Stalker took a lean on the frame of the door. "I'll make do. I'm sure you will. Tell me, how is the 21st? Stalker knew what Big D was really asking was, "How are you holding up?" But such a direct question was not his way. "They're pretty beat, D, to be honest. As a company-size formation, they aren't combat effective. With walking wounded included, the 21st is well below half strength." D nodded. "I know, it was a tough operation. That's why you got it. I have another one for you." Stalker straightened, listening. "When I say for you, I mean you, not the 21st. Elements of the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th are being deployed to Wolf 424. The force will be made up of our freshest units that came out largely untouched from JNAX. I want you with them. Link can manage the 21st until you return." Stalker frowned, not understanding. "They're going to conduct a raid on the system, multiple landings, feel out the enemy presence, gather intel, then get the hell out. You are one of the most experienced battle commanders in the Terra Nova. All those more experienced are dead, or out of the fight from wounds. It's not that I don't trust the unit leaders. They're rock solid. I want some more eyes there, just in case it all goes to hell." D stood, looking Stalker in the eye. "I need to know if you're up for it. No shame in saying you're not. Zoe is your wife. Just say the word, I'll put in the paperwork, and you can go home for a spell. No one in the Terra Nova would think any less of you, you know that. You have more than done your share, and the Terra Nova needs good people back in Arica to bring the new recruits up top speed." It had been 3 weeks since Zoe had been evacuated from Ross 128. Ever since that day, Stalker had sought and received updates on her condition. When Zoe awoke, she had been surrounded by family, and they had been in regular communication with him. They had told him she was doing fine and would soon undergo limb replacement surgery. Zoe, as proud and headstrong as ever, did not want to be seen in her current condition. Instead, she had passed on her love, her shock and joy at being pregnant, and firm conviction that he should remain where he was. Stalker did not know if the reality of the situation would truly sink in until he could hold her in his arms, but he respected her wishes. Stalker shook his head. "I'm good to go." An hour later, Stalker was in the HSDS's communications hub accessing any available information on the Wolf 424 A and B system on the Milnet. Wolf 424 was a binary star system, comprising 2 almost equal in size cool main sequence red dwarf stars, Wolf 424 A and B. Both stars were approximately 14% the size of the Sun and lay 14.2 light-years from Earth. Both stars orbited each other in an irregular orbit, while Wolf 424b was also an extremely active flare star. When first visited by humans, the Wolf 424 system was found to contain a number of rocky planets and moons. Most were too far from the life-giving warmth of the weak red dwarf stars, but a few were located in the habitable zone and suitable for terraforming. These included the planet of Lupus Prime and the large moon Canady. Close to Wolf 424b, Canady circled a large gas giant, dubbed Carnivora. Like Jupiter, Carnivora consisted primarily of helium and hydrogen, and it was these gases that had been drawn upon to assist with the terraforming efforts in the Wolf 424 system. Still rocky and barren, but with a reasonable atmosphere, Canady's development consisted of the usual atmospheric converter facility and of industrial facilities belonging to corporate interests, along with some small pre-war civilian settlements. By contrast, the large world of Lupus Prime, orbiting Wolf 424A, was considered a rare jewel. Although terraforming efforts had been painfully slow, predictions were that in time Lupus Prime would make an ideal planet for large-scale settlement. Dominated by several continents, and planet also was home to vast oceans of salty mineral-rich water hundreds of kilometers deep. Atmospheric converters, utilizing gas resources from carnivora, were in the process of converting the planet's nitrogen-based atmosphere into a breathable state, but this remained uncompleted when the war commenced, and had produced a very thin atmosphere with oxygen levels that remained too low to support permanent settlement. Of the planet's continents, only one had been established with plant life, and vast forests of genetically engineered pine trees had been seeded to aid the terraforming process. The other continents, as yet remaining rocky and lifeless. Intelligence indicated that Lupus Prime and Canady harbored a Deimos presence, but the composition and scale of the forces present was largely unknown. As a result, the plan of attack included multiple landings on both Lupus Prime and Canady. Stalker frowned. It was a risky strategy. The landing forces would essentially be light infantry units. If they encountered enemy armor, or even worse, mecha, things could go very badly very fast. Still, that would be intelligence of a sort, thought Stalker darkly. The more Stalker studied the plans and available intelligence, the more he saw Big DS reasoning for including him in the operation. He had fought armor and mecha on Mars, and again in Germany during the abortive attack on Earth, and that experience might save Terra Nova lives on this operation. Stalker disconnected from the communications hub and headed back towards his billet. He had preparations to make. Many hours later, the sleek shape of the battlecruiser UES Aquarius dropped out of faster-than-light speed with a flash. On the bridge of the massive warship, Vice Admiral Yoshiro Matsuda watched as the first scans of the Wolf 424 system came in. Well, are we in the right system, NSO? What was the right one again? They all sound so alike, Janet Combs replied sweetly. Matsuda smiled at the quick retort of his NSO. From her console, Janet Combs knew that they had emerged at the target coordinates with the bare minimum of drift from their last high-speed run. The position was well within target margins, and given the distance traveled, demonstrated an impressive level of accuracy. The TSO spoke up, "Sensor sweep complete, several returns. I am tracking 12 Deimos vessels. One is battleship class. They're moving to engage." Matsuda smiled. "Take us forward, 1/4 speed. Activate energy dispersal shields and defensive suite." "Yes, Admiral. Shields and Nexus coming online now. Would you like me to engage 3 DSI? "Yes. Actually, this time I will have 3 DSI, please." Slipping on his 3D spatial interface headset, Matsuda's view of the bridge was replaced by the integrated feed of the external camera systems combined with a tactical overlay from the ship's combat system suite. Seeing through the ship, he immediately saw the incoming Deimos vessels identified by the tactical overlay. A formation of 12 vessels focused around a single large capital ship, 5 slightly smaller heavy cruiser-class vessels, and half a dozen accompanying smaller destroyer-class warships. The formation was moving to intercept the lone UES Aquarius. Matsuda smiled. That was a mistake. Range to weapons. At present closing speed, 2 minutes. Very good. Send the signal. 1 minute later, the space around the Aquarius was lit by rippling flashes as the battlecruisers Scorpio, Taurus, and Ares, flanked by the cruisers Hades and Adelaide, arrived, having just performed a short, faster-than-light high-speed run from where they had been waiting on the edge of the system. Matsuda smiled as the onrushing Deimos vessels began to change course. "All ships, weapons free, permission to engage, run them down. NSO, take us in, full ahead, tactical. You may fire as soon as you have a solution. Communications, contact the second wave. Give them the go-ahead. Tell them they are free to commence landing operations immediately." As the battlecruisers of the 2nd Battlecruiser Division charged after their prey, several HSDS vessels arrived in their wake, closely escorted by the cruisers Apollo and London, and the destroyers Java, Sardinia, Kiowa, and Mohican. On board the HSDS 1177, Stalker Double checked his weapons loadout. He was going in with his EEA fully charged, ASBR 103, Z8A pistol, a C6 charge, 6 grenades, 2 smoke, 1 electro flash, and 3 fragmentation, his sword, and a slap launcher. He had been attached as an observer to a unit from the 57th Terra Nova, Papa 57. The 57 company's target was Lupus Prime. Once in position, the fleet would scan the planet to find them a likely objective. They would then land and conduct a reconnaissance sweep to locate and identify any enemy in the region. Then, based on the level of threat, they would either engage, or if the threat was too high, withdraw under air cover. Simple Stalker thought, deceptively so. Time was critical to this type of operation. The longer it took to deploy, the more prepared the enemy would be. The same was true once on the surface. The more time that passed, the more like the enemy would be able to coordinate and mass overwhelming forces. This was a smash and grab, in and out before the echoes faded. As they closed in on Lupus Prime, targets were allocated and Papa 57 was given an objective, a wooded region that scans indicated held an enemy presence. The insertion transport had been cobbled together and was a mix of well-worn HTT, Swiftfoot, and LTT transports, and none of the newer and more capable skirmishers. The force included a number of LTT-AS for fire support and escort. The LTT-AS in the formation were modified versions of the standard assault variant of the LTT. Hastily rushed into service and incorporating additional armor and weapons to increase survivability and mission profile. The extra armor and weapons added a significant amount of weight, while the engines remained those of the standard LTT, resulting in less range and less maneuverability. The transports were deployed in high atmosphere by HSDS, and the assaulting reconnaissance forces moved on their objectives. In the passenger compartment of an HTT Stalker used the transport's situational awareness systems to view the terrain. Lupus Prime contained a single large supercontinent, which the terraforming process had transformed into a deceptively green world. The entire surface had been seeded with a specially genetically engineered type of conifer, and the tall, thin, straight tress stretched from horizon to horizon. The green vista only broken by occasional patches of white snow and ice on low mountains. Stalker knew from the briefs that Lupus Prime was a cold world by Earth standards, and oxygen levels remained low with other life non-existent. The ComNet did not reveal any opposition to the landing, and the flight of transports landed without incident just short of the objective. Stalker felt strange as he stepped off the transport onto the carpet of pine needles. It wasn't just the isolation of having no forces to command, a mixed unit of Papa 57 operators and UEA infantry from the 42nd Infantry Division fanning out through the trees ahead. It was the sterility of the forest. The forest felt cold and dead. There were no birds, no flowers, just the sound of the wind passing through the trees. It was unsettling, and just moments after arriving, Stalker could not wait to leave. They moved forward. Their objective was about a kilometer distant. Stalker entered the clearing a few moments after the leading elements. The trees had been roughly toppled and pushed to one side to form the clearing, the dark earth beneath revealed. In place of the trees, the wide open space was filled with a collection of 2- and 3-story transportable buildings, some of the ground still showing the evidence of scorching when they had been airlifted into position. The buildings were the untarnished silver of new fabrication and clashed starkly with the dark reddish earth and the dull green of the surrounding trees. There was no movement. All was quiet as the Terra Nova assault troopers and the UEA infantry swept up to the nearest structures. It took Stalker only a moment to realize that they were unlikely to find anyone inside. The doors to the nearest structure were open, and outside the building refuse was scattered in the mud. Stalker followed a UAE unit into a structure, his ASBR sweeping left to right but finding no enemies. Inside, the evidence that the occupants had left in a hurry was everywhere. The buildings had power, lights remained on, and serviceable equipment lay abandoned. Stalker did not recognize the purpose of the facility. Cables ran along the roof supports, and large banks of computer displays and consoles were clustered in one corner. while the other benches were covered with clear containers filled with unrecognizable lumps of fleshy material. "Whatever happened here, it looks like we missed it. Nobody touches nothing," growled a UA sergeant. Stalker walked along the clear containers. He was no medic. The contents appeared to be some kind of organs, but they were unlike any he recognized. The site was clearly medical in nature, although whether it was research or a field hospital, he could not tell. Stalker did not like it, and the sense of foreboding he had been feeling since they landed only deepened. "Sergeant, before we pull out of here, do me a favor and frag this location. Whatever this is, deny it to the enemy." The sergeant grunted and signaled a pair of soldiers to begin laying demolition charges. Stalker walked out into the light, the mud squelching under his boots. Stalker was just about to check in with the unit commander of Papa 57 with a faint movement just in the corner of his vision caused him to turn reflexively. Several yards away, a clump of earth and pine needles rose, and before Stalker could utter a word, the firing began.